to really go ahead and not just be about what slavery was, but really some of the things that people are still navigating today for their prosperity, but also in the sense of some of the struggles that they have. So I have the pleasure of bringing Mr. Carter McKinney to the stage, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. But Carter McKinney, if you could join me up here, I think he's behind. Carter McKinney, I've known him. Go ahead. So I met Carter, I think he was referred to me by actually Dr. Hassan Bat. So Carter is he's a creator in the video and photography world. And what I loved about Carter, I think at that point he was 21, was just his straight commitment to his dream and what he wanted to do. And that for me spoke to me because it kind of reminded me of myself, young, very eager, and ready to do whatever it kind of takes to make this dream come true of being an entrepreneur, and being able to do something for myself and make some of those dreams come true. So Carter McKinney, appreciate you, man. Yeah. So open up, tell us a little bit, tell us about where you're from and what was it like growing up for you.
All right, good morning everybody, how we doing today? All right, so yeah, my name's Carter McKinney. Thanks for having me today, Kevin, and taking the time to come out. So I'm a founder of McKinney Media. It's my own business. I was going to school in Bethlehem. I was raised in Bethlehem Catholic. I graduated. I went to Northampton Community College for a while, and then I decided I want to start my own business. My grandfather was also an entrepreneur. He went to Lehigh University for engineering, and then he went out in through the 9-to-5 structure of working a job, and then he worked up to be a partner, and then he instilled those entrepreneurial themes to me. So I was really appreciative of that. I'm a Bethlehem guy. Do we have any Bethlehem people in here? I know this is the city of Allentown, but great. So that's a little bit about myself.
So we had this conversation a little bit. So as a person of mixed race, how did you find your authentic self in both identities?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. I was the only black person in my neighborhood in my elementary school. And I found myself, fitting into different categories, not ever one category. So that allows me a unique standpoint to be able to understand the minds of all kinds of different people. My girlfriend is of Latino descent. So, I have a unique standpoint to be able to understand the mindset of all kinds of different people. I have family all over the country. And I'm a marketing person as well as an expert photographer and educator as well. So that offers me a unique standpoint on that.
So when we talked, you were talking about, being raised in a predominantly white community and your mother is white. And what experiences have you felt, and have you felt experiences where you might have been looked at less black because of that experience and culture, because culturally the home that you grew up in? Yeah,
absolutely. So, like I said, I grew up in a predominantly white environment, so I had to go out there and find the culture and my black, side of things. I had to find it in music and the language, and I'm half Jamaican and half white. My grandma was from St. Mary, Jamaica. She came here, from a lot of poverty and things like that over in Jamaica, and she wanted a different life for myself and, my family. So she came over here and she saw that education was super important, respecting the law and going after and really furthering yourself. A lot of people in her, community didn't even know how to read and write. So that's definitely a big change here. There's a lot of business and entrepreneurial opportunities here for myself and my family. I have a growing staff. I'm 24. I've already been a business owner for 6 years. So, I have a head start with her efforts. She worked at Johnson & Johnson as well. So, yeah, definitely. I had to go out and find my own, black culture in that way. But it's really a privilege, all the opportunities I've been afforded. So.
Do you think through that journey, can you think about a moment that you're like, I do see myself here, or even experiences that you had where folks might have not accepted you because of being raised by a white mom in a white household?
Yes, absolutely. So I recently got my passport, and I'm excited to go back to Jamaica for the first time. And, a thought that I've had is like, okay, wow, like I speak a certain way, I'm different, and, I didn't have the same, language growing up. Patois is the language of Jamaica. And going there, I'm like, wow, like I'm white looking to them and, don't speak the language. It's going to be kind of different going over there and not speaking the language. But, I seek out the music and the culture, and, I bring a lot of things to my family and to my community and to eventually, my home country. In terms of business and different things, I'm very excited to share what I've seen and learned.
Awesome. So entrepreneurship, I always say, is not guaranteed. It's a tough period. It doesn't matter if you're the best at it. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful in it. Through your process and through your lived experiences, how have you navigated the world of business, and especially the world of business, in the Lehigh Valley, right? Because obviously you got dreads, right? We can assume, probably maybe in the Lehigh Valley, maybe the first assumption is that you're from, Latino descent. But, of a man of color, how have you navigated that space, understanding that you have multiple identities that you represent?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Kevin. So the way that I navigate, my grandfather is very traditional. He said no piercings, no tattoos, no, long hair and all of those things. But I just went out and did me. At the end of the day, you're going to be in rooms where people don't agree with you, they don't understand you, they don't look like you. But at the end of the day, you guys are both there to do a job. There's a reason why you're in the room. So at the end of the day, I just lead with my expertise, with my heart, with, different things. And you have to just go out there and be unapologetically yourself. And if you don't understand somebody, sometimes just ask, or just lead with respect and lead with understanding. That will, help you out navigating different microaggressions or differences in the workplace and things like that. So, just if you don't understand something, you could ask. And sometimes it's not all about today, oh, happy Juneteenth because you're black or whatever. No, just try to lead with understanding and just say, hey, going into different rooms, take some of the things that Kevin and his team are teaching you today and use it in your everyday life. It goes past just Juneteenth today.
Now, I want to touch on something real quick, because this is something that's happened to us, and being very, very, very frank, as a group of young black men that decided to start a business here in the Lehigh Valley, and we have no ties here, right? So I know Brandon told his story. Ties from Southern California. I was born in Jamaica, raised in Jersey. Brandon's from Delaware, and our other business partner, Daryl's from Virginia. I remember, and I don't want to even act like it doesn't happen sometimes still, folks feel that we can only market to black folks. That our experience only gives us the insight to market to black folks. And the question I'm going to ask you, because I've always said, well, I have been trained to understand white culture sometimes that I think better than white folks. Especially growing up in New Jersey, we can go through all the 80s rock songs, I know them by heart. We're going to sing I'm Gonna Be With You all the way through and through. And that's something that's always I found very, very funny, because I've had to, as a black man, be able to develop my skill set to understand every other culture, because my culture was never the dominant culture. Have you had that experience where folks have really only reached out to you for the black event, or even the Spanish event? I know you said your girlfriend is Latina. Have you had that experience, and how have you felt, and how have you navigated that, being boxed in to think that because you're of this color you only can, but for some odd reason white folks have the ability to market to us and every other thing in those big places as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So, I would say that being of mixed race, like I said, I have a different, unique standpoint where I can understand all kinds of different people. You're not just in a skill set and a place to articulate thoughts on black things. I'm also a leader in my community. As a young person, I do charitable work and other things. And people like me, you have to be able to be confident. And I really wanted to touch on imposter syndrome today. Raise your hand if you've heard of imposter syndrome. Keep your hand raised if you know what it actually means. All right, perfect. So imposter syndrome is basically a situation where you have things like cancel culture and you question your skill set, your accomplishments, and who you are. You look and you're like, wow, do I belong here? Do I belong in this room? Is this for me? And the answer is yes. The reason why you're in this room is because you have a place here. This is your rightful place, and you bring something to the table, even if someone or an organization or a situation makes it seem otherwise. So to answer his question, you have to go into every room and be unapologetically yourself. If you take one thing away from having me here today, is I want you to think about imposter syndrome in a situation where, wow, like there's this person looking at me or speaking to me a certain way. No, you have to stand up straight and say, hey, I am me, I'm worthy of respect and things like that. And that's kind of how I would answer that.
So my last question for you, what do you feel for yourself is the next kind of growth for you as you think about as you continue to find yourself as a man and all the identities that you grow? What do you think is your biggest areas of growth, and what's kind of next for Mr. McKinney?
Okay, yeah. So I was thinking about this, and I would say the biggest area of growth would be self-awareness. So self-awareness is something that, you have to look within and have your own back and tell yourself that you're worthy and things like that, because at the end of the day, the sky is the limit, and the sky isn't even the limit. You just see it and you can go well above. We got a space force now. It's crazy. So at the end of the day, I can make my business as big or as small as I'd like. I've met small mom and pop businesses, and they have control over their jobs and their business and how they run their home. And that's one level of it. But then there's also a big enterprise. I could go as big as having an Uber style app for photography and, powering the next generation of, creative economy. So I can do anything in between. It's all at my disposal. And, at the end of the day, you have to be self-aware, you guys. So, you guys are city workers. You're going to be interacting with each other, interacting with, residents and even tourists. Lehigh Valley is a growing economy here, and, they're really investing into the tourist side of things. So as you interact and you even do your own travels this summer for summer vacation, just think about some of the things that were said here today and, just trying to be very respectful and lead with understanding and not assumptions. You don't want to profile people. You don't know every, man, woman, black person, Spanish person. You don't know every one of those people that, in the world. So go out there and try to understand these people and take that into your everyday life.
No, I appreciate you, Carter. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to keep our production going. I know Tyrone's going to come back out so we can continue our fireside chat. I'm looking forward to hear from this man who's definitely been influential in my life. So I'm going to hand over to Tyrone as we bring on our next guest.
All right, let me get 4 volunteers quickly, and then we're going to stand up and take a little break. 4 volunteers, raise your hand. I just need you to come to the front. 2, 3, 1 more. Just 1 more. Give me 1 more volunteer. Perfect. So I'm going to put you down there on that edge right there. Yep, that little corner. Keep you right here. I'm going to bring you here. This is how we're going to set up the break. This is how we're going to set up our break. Come with